Hey guys, Professor Griffin again. Python Crash Course, Lesson 8, Loops. We can't do much amazing stuff right now. We haven't talked about any containers, and for loop especially is good at looping over container types. But we can give some examples. So for example, here's the difference. In C++, we got 3 sections, right? Separated by semicolons, where you have initialization, the test, and the update. Not the same. What a for loop in this context is doing is we're looping over some container of items. So for C, in let's say a string, hello world, every iteration of this loop, the variable C will contain a single item. So this string, it's stored like an array, so the 0th element is H. First iteration, C will hold the H. Second iteration, and the for loop will march down this string, printing out each element. The cool thing is, we don't need to know the length, because the container itself knows its own length. So if I run this, it prints out each letter. Okay. Let's do a while loop. I'm just going to hurry up through this, and then we'll get to lists and contain. We're going to see a lot more looping. So while loops are somewhat similar. You have while, then you'll have a Boolean operation to see if it evaluates to true, and if it evaluates to true, you'll execute whatever's in the code block. Okay, so let's do this. A lot of times while loops are used for like just endless loops, like around maybe a game loop. So I'm going to say value is equal to 0, just to prime it. And I'm going to say while there's a value, I'm going to say, let's read in a number. Value is equal to input, enter a number. And then we'll print that number out with a formatted string. You entered val. Comment that out. So maybe I should give it something other than a 0, because 0 it doesn't evaluate to anything, right? Same as in C. So enter a number, 88, enter. So this will keep looping until we don't enter a number. So we hit enter. It still tried to print that value out that we didn't enter, which makes sense because we were already in the code block. But when it came back around and evaluated that value, it was an empty string which evaluated to false, so we terminated the code block. But let's use some of our keywords up here, break and continue, which work the same way that they do in C. What could we do? We could just say if there is a value, print. This isn't really good logic. I'm just trying to show you what's going on. So we entered a number, and then we skip the print statement, just using an if statement. We could say just break, and it's the same idea. We could use continue there as well. Big point is, in Python, while loop is pretty much the same. Create a code block, execute all your code. Let me reiterate, remember, we don't want to mix spaces and end tabs. For loop, not the same. For loop is all about iterating over containers. Break and continue, remember, break will break out of the existing code block, and continue will skip every the rest of the instructions remaining in that code block. And das ist alles.